In the year 2000, horror fans were introduced to a terrifying new concept: death itself as the villain. Final Destination wasn't just another slasher flick, it was a chilling reminder that you can't cheat fate. The film's mix of eerie premonitions, creative death scenes, and psychological tension turned it into a cult classic and spawned an entire franchise. But while the movie is unforgettable, the story behind it is just as strange. From unusual inspirations to bizarre on-set choices, the making of Final Destination is filled with odd little facts that most fans never hear about. So let's dive into the shadows of fate with 10 odd facts you don't know about Final Destination 2000. 1. The movie started as an X-Files script. Before it became a film, Final Destination was originally conceived as a spec script for the X-Files. The writers envisioned an eerie episode where Mulder and Scully investigate a teenager who miraculously survives a catastrophe, only to be pursued by death itself. The idea captured the dark, supernatural tone of the show, but pushed its boundaries with a storyline that felt larger than a single episode could handle. Because of this, the script was deemed too ambitious for television, and instead was developed into a feature film. The transition gave the story room to expand on its chilling premise, building suspenseful sequences and exploring the unsettling idea that fate cannot be cheated. This decision ultimately birthed a successful horror franchise that continues to resonate with fans for its originality and unforgettable concept.
No, I can't. As long as I'm in here, it's out of my control. I'm sorry.
And speaking of its origins, the writers pulled from some real-life fears. 2. A real plane crash inspired the opening. The film's shocking plane explosion was heavily inspired by the tragic real-life crash of TWA Flight 800 in 1996, where all 230 passengers lost their lives off the coast of Long Island. This devastating event was still fresh in the public's memory when Final Destination was released, giving the film's opening scene an unsettling realism that struck audiences on a deeper level. Though fictionalized, the resemblance between the movie's sequence and the real crash made the scene even more disturbing. Some critics argued that it was too soon and felt the imagery might reopen wounds for those who remembered the tragedy. However, the sequence's intensity also cemented the film's reputation, setting a terrifyingly grounded tone that carried through the entire franchise. But the terror wasn't just on screen. It extended to the cast, too. 3. The actors were kept in the dark about their deaths. To keep performances raw and authentic, the director deliberately withheld details from the cast about how their characters' death scenes would unfold. By keeping the actors in the dark until the day of filming, he was able to capture their genuine reactions of fear, confusion, and surprise. This approach helped ground the supernatural concept in real emotion, making the tension on screen feel less rehearsed and more unsettling. The technique was especially effective in scenes involving elaborate setups, such as the infamous bathroom accident. With slippery floors, precarious objects, and unexpected camera angles, the unpredictability heightened both the actors' unease and the audience's suspense. This choice added a layer of realism that contributed to the film's chilling atmosphere and cemented its reputation as a clever and terrifying entry in the horror genre. And those elaborate setups sometimes took inspiration from real fears. 4. The death scenes were based on freak accidents. Instead of supernatural monsters, the filmmakers studied bizarre real-life accidents. Electrocutions, falls, and freak chain reactions became the basis for the movie's kills. This grounded approach made audiences feel like death could truly come from anywhere. But not all the research stayed so grounded. 5. The film consulted a real paranormal investigator. To bring a sense of authenticity to the story, the filmmakers consulted with paranormal experts who specialized in omens, premonitions, and superstitions tied to death. These conversations gave the writers and crew insight into how different cultures interpret warnings from the beyond, blending real-world beliefs with cinematic storytelling. This added depth to the film's eerie atmosphere, making the supernatural elements feel more grounded in existing lore. Some of the most memorable signs in the movie, like distorted reflections, flickering shadows, and sudden gusts of wind, were inspired directly by these traditions. By weaving real folklore into the narrative, the film tapped into universal fears that audiences instinctively recognized, even if they couldn't explain why. This attention to detail elevated the suspense, making each scene feel as though it carried an authentic and inevitable brush with fate. And folklore wasn't the only place they borrowed from. 6. Tony Todd's role was inspired by a classic horror figure. Tony Todd's portrayal of the enigmatic mortician Bloodworth was deliberately styled after classic horror hosts and icons, such as the Crypt Keeper and other Gothic figures. His deep voice, calm demeanor, and chilling delivery gave the character an air of timeless authority. The creative team wanted Bloodworth to feel like he existed outside the main story, almost as if he were a gatekeeper between life and death. His cryptic warnings and unsettling presence throughout the film added a layer of mystery that has kept fans speculating for years. Many believe Bloodworth is not just a mortician, but a physical embodiment of death itself, subtly guiding the survivors toward their inevitable fate. This ambiguity turned him into one of the franchise's most memorable characters, sparking debates that continue to this day.
I'll see you soon.
And when it came to the film's tone, the studio had some strong opinions. 7. The original ending was very different. The original cut of Final Destination had a very different ending, one that leaned heavily on themes of hope and renewal. In this version, Alex dies near the conclusion, but Clear later gives birth to his child, symbolizing the idea that life could continue and triumph even in the shadow of death. The filmmakers believed this would give the story a bittersweet sense of closure, contrasting with the relentless darkness of the plot.
Sorry Alex never got to see him.
He sees him.
However, when shown to test audiences, the response was overwhelmingly negative. Viewers felt the ending was too sentimental and clashed with the film's suspenseful, fatalistic tone. The studio took the criticism seriously and pushed for a rewrite, leading to the darker, more ambiguous conclusion that made it into theaters. This change not only aligned better with the film's chilling atmosphere, but also helped set the stage for the sequels that followed. But darkness came with an unexpected twist during production. 8. Real death omens happened on set. During production, several cast and crew members noticed odd coincidences and unsettling events that occurred behind the scenes. Lights would flicker without explanation, props would malfunction at the wrong moment, and minor accidents seemed to happen more often than usual. While none of these incidents were severe, they created a sense of unease that mirrored the film's eerie subject matter. Some people on set even went so far as to whisper that the movie was cursed, as if the story they were telling had attracted dark energy of its own. Whether it was just heightened nerves or something stranger, the atmosphere only added to the chilling aura surrounding the project. For fans, these off-camera tales have become part of the Final Destination legend, blurring the line between fiction and reality. And the spookiness carried over into the movie's hidden details. 9. The names are references to real horror icons. Many characters' last names are nods to famous horror filmmakers. Alex Browning is a reference to Todd Browning, Dracula. Billy Hitchcock nods to Alfred Hitchcock, and teacher Valerie Luton references Val Luton, a legendary horror producer. It was Tarantino-level Easter egging for horror fans. And finally, one odd fact shows just how unexpected the film's success was. 10. Nobody expected it to become a franchise. When Final Destination premiered, even the studio didn't think it would go far. It was meant to be a one-off thriller, but the film's unique villain, death itself, was so effective that it sparked an entire franchise spanning 2 decades with another sequel on the way. Outro. And there you have it. 10 odd facts about Final Destination, 2000. From its roots as an X-Files script to bizarre real-life inspirations, The film proved that death can be scarier than any monster. If you enjoyed this countdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your favorite death scene from the franchise. And let me know, which horror classic should we cover next? And if you love this, you'll want to check out our video, Highlander, 1986. 10 behind-the-scenes secrets you didn't know. It's another cult classic filled with wild behind-the-scenes stories. Go watch that one next.